Hey all, my name is Angela. Welcome back to the Millennial Rebuild, where I basically am talking about all the things that nobody else is sharing about being in your 40s, getting older, being single, being childless, rebuilding careers and life and relationships, all of these crazy things that are happening to us. Something that I find really fascinating is the fact that so many people, and I'm including myself in that, spend so much time and energy in their 20s and their 30s really trying to be someone that they think they're supposed to and do the things that they think they're supposed to do. As you move into your late 30s and 40s, there are these things that slowly start to click, start to feel better. And suddenly you're realizing, wow, nobody has talked about the good things about being this decade and getting older. It's almost as if nature is dialing that down and starts to really move it towards the off position. And it's really, really fascinating. And I wish somebody had told me about this because it's actually one of the best parts of being in your 40s. What I do want to talk about are a lot of these little tiny changes and things that start to happen as we get older and especially move into this new decade of your 40s that you just don't expect. Don't ever remember my parents or my grandparents talking about this as they got older. It was always, oh, don't get old. It's not going to be fun, and all the aches and pains and the problems of the world and their body and life. That's what I heard a lot of. But nobody really talked about some of those positive things that come with moving into your 40s, these later decades in life. There are so many positives that I'm really starting to figure out and see for myself. And the problem is, especially now with social media, there's not a lot of people talking about it because it's not glamorous. There's small, incremental changes and improvements that sort of happen as you move through these new decades. And it's not glamorous in any way. It's not glamorous at all. And again, that's what this channel is about. And so I want to sort of share some of those things. So let's talk about it. One of the things that I really started to experience in my late 30s, and especially now as I've moved more into my 40s, is this understanding and need to stop performing for people. And I don't mean performing in a big dramatic way. I mean the way that you change yourself when you're in public and meeting people, the way that you are different around your family or your friends, and finding yourself not being authentic. But what I'm talking about is just sort of all of those little changes, those little small differences that happen when we are out, basically being a person among other people. Replaying conversations in your head, ruminating on what you should have said instead of what you actually said, editing yourself in real time instead of just letting things be. I experience that so much, and especially as someone who has always grown up hyper aware of being in a group and people dynamics and all of those kinds of things, I recognized that I was always performing in some way. And something that's really beautiful that happens when you start to get into your late 30s, early 40s, that stops. I don't know if you've seen this before or heard about it or talked about it, but there is this thing where once you start to get into your 40s, especially as a woman, you hit this point, you're like, I don't give a anymore. I'm done. And I'm done performing. I'm done not being myself around people. I'm done pretending that I am something that I'm not. Those are the things that we really recognize. And we start to think, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why did I spend years trying to hide myself, even among my friends and family, at work? Why did I do all of this? Why did I use so much mental space and so much energy thinking about all of these things? Because really, in the grand scheme of it, nobody cares, and you shouldn't either. And I won't pretend that it was just like a switch or it happened overnight. This is something that sort of has been building and building, especially for me over the last few years. And it's a really fascinating thing that has happened. And I've talked to other women in their 40s who have felt the same way. Something about this decade, we lose our patience. And we stop trying to perform and be that perfect person for everybody. It just slowly happened where I started to recognize situations, conversations, things like that in my life where I was just done. I didn't ruminate on what happened or what I thought I said was bad or good or what did they think about me. That was gone. And it was really fucking amazing. And I'm sorry for swearing, that's just how I am. But it was really amazing and it's so freeing. It is so freeing, but also really sad because then you start to think, God, I spent so many years, so many years and so much energy on these things. But I guess that's sort of what wisdom is as you grow and move along in your years, is you are able to use your experience and your new ideas and thoughts and realize, that probably wasn't great, but it is what it is, and it makes you who you are now. So another thing that's been really interesting in my 40s is your body really stops whispering and starts screaming at you. So I have had to become a lot more aware of what's going on with my body, how I'm feeling, how I'm doing, and really recognizing the signals that I'm getting. And I'm not just talking about, the aches and pains and the things that we feel just being a human in this, flesh tube. It's about really listening to ourselves and really listening to our bodies and hearing it and actually doing something about it. I know for me in my 20s and 30s, it was so easy to mask symptoms and just move along, trudge through, hustle through, and not really pay attention to that. But now, as your body ages and we get older, your body is not going to let you do that anymore. I've stopped pretending that I can eat certain things and not have it affect my stomach. I've stopped pretending, that I can drink and not have any side effects. I've stopped pretending that I can't exercise because then my body tells me, wait a minute, no, we need to move now. And once you know that, once you can feel the difference between the things that really restore you and the things that drain you, you start saying no a whole lot more. And of course, there are the funny parts and the less poetic pieces of all of this. I know for me, my bladder has now become my alarm clock. It's just something that sort of happened over time, and I'm working on being accepting of it and really just recognizing, okay, I need to work with this and we need to work around this, and it's fine. We'll deal with it. But of course, I didn't see that coming. I always thought, it just happens to really old people, not me. Yet here I am. Here I am starting to experience a lot of these things that my parents and grandparents complained about. And I'm like, oh shit, here we go. I thought I had more time, but I guess I don't. Ugh. So honestly, this third thing is actually one of the more interesting things that has happened to me. And I will tell you, I absolutely did not expect this. Thought, again, this is just a super old person thing that they do for whatever reason because they're bored, they don't have jobs, they don't have things that they have to do during the day, so they just sit and do this. But here I am doing it in my 40s and I almost feel like I'm admitting to something bad. It's not bad at all. Okay, I'm just going to say it. I am now a bird watcher. How did that even happen? So I am here at my mom's and she has this great little backyard and she has bird feeders, hummingbird feeders. And a lot of times my mom and I will sit and we'll just eat dinner and we'll just watch the freaking birds outside. And it's absolutely bonkers. But really, when you start to do it, they're so cute. We get to watch the little finches. They're just these little tiny, just these little teeny tiny little yellow fluffy things. I don't know what happened. I don't know when this started. I couldn't pinpoint a specific day where I started, just being fascinated and obsessed with it. But this is something that I do almost every day. Honestly, I welcome that peace, that quiet, because I'm not scrolling. I'm not on the phone. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not focusing on anything else. It's just this moment, this short period of time of peace, watching nature, just kicking back and relaxing. It's so fascinating. Can't fully explain it. If you know, you know. But there's just something peaceful and just calming about watching these cute little guys do their thing. And maybe that's the metaphor. We all just want to be able to do our thing, be unbothered, eat our dinners, and just live our lives. So being in your 40s, obviously, it's not all rainbows and roses and bird feeders and, snacks in bed on Friday nights. Obviously, that's not all that this is. This is a huge decade where we go through so many ups and downs and challenges and changes and positive things and negatives. So much of what we experience is a huge roller coaster. You know, there's a lot of real stuff that we have to deal with: social stuff, family stuff, money stuff, house stuff, personal stuff, relationships, you know, body changes. All of these things are things that we deal with as we get older. But there's also a lot of really great positives that come from it. And I don't want you to forget that. Some days it's really heavy and it's really difficult to trudge your way through. But there are also plenty of other times where you feel better than ever. This isn't because suddenly you've got all the answers and now you know it all. Absolutely not. You are still struggling like the rest of us. But the difference is there's less noise, there's less chaos. I know myself better. I trust myself more. A part of all of that means that I am spending less time carrying the burdens that weren't mine to begin with. They weren't mine to carry, anyways. So I'm going to end with this. If you're dreading your 40s, I see you. So many of us have those same feelings. If you're in your 40s and they're hard, I see you too, because I'm experiencing that as well. But there's also a lot of positives. And I'm really curious, actually, if you have found your version of the bird feeders. Is there something that you found that your younger self would have roasted you for? I'm really curious, so go ahead and put that in the comments below. So if you're still hanging in with me, subscribe, because there's going to be a lot more of this. Both the positive and the negatives, and all of these different experiences as we move through our 40s. I know I say this a lot in my videos, but I think it's really important to share these things because there's so many women out there who are going through these same changes, thinking about these same things, having these same ideas and curiosities, and wondering if others are feeling the same way and thinking the same things. And I'm here to tell you, we are. There are tons of us, so you are not alone. And I hope you stick around.